as we work our way from bottom to top in the AFC West, that brings us to the third place team as of last year, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs. Scrub that, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm losing my place here. Kieran O'Donovan, we have lived by the mantra that Patrick Mahomes is inevitable, and last year, for the first time, it looked like he just might not be. Serious injury, he's coming back from that. Soundings from the Chiefs in the offseason have been reasonably positive about the recovery timeline there, and that they do hope that he'll be back for week one. Whether he's back at Patrick Mahomesian levels of greatness, we shall see. But there's a lot of questions in, and even when things weren't going well last year and they lost 9 one-score games, a complete regression to the mean and beyond the mean from what happened to them the previous season, they end up still with a 6-11 record despite everything that was going wrong. But a long way off the Chiefs that we thought would find a way to get it right. And it's starting to make people, for the first time in the Reid-Mahomes dynastic era, doubt whether or not they can get back to the top as quickly as they think they will.
Yeah, well, interesting you say that, because everywhere I've watched in the last week or two, trying to do a little bit of homework on what people think about the Chiefs' chances this year. A lot of people seem to think that this is a bounce back year. That last year was, everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and this is Mahomes, and this is Reid, and this is a generational dynasty, and they're going to get back to the top of the table. It's inevitable, and I'm glad you said that, and you opened the way you did, because I think, barring Brady and Belichick, no other team has been able to sustain the longevity that the Patriots dynasty had. And for all of us to assume that the Chiefs are just going to get back there, without looking into the, doing a bit more of a deep dive into it, is I think it's a little bit naive. Now, can they get back?
You're playing my tune here. I remember a long time back saying the way that we view the NFL and what's possible is completely skewed because of Tom Brady, who is the outlier's outlier. Like, the idea that it's just so that because Mahomes is so good that he can repeat or exceed what Brady did is almost laughably naive, to use your word. Like, the Patriots also, despite everything that they had going for them, and I'm not going to take away from my praise for Kraft, for Belichick, for Brady, and for the the generationally talented rosters that they had and the rosters that they constructed when they were dealing with the salary cap and all the rest of it. But they also benefited from huge amounts of luck. They had bad luck along the way too, but you need an awful lot of things to go your way for that to happen. Now, that said, I've just watched the World Cup match in which Lionel Messi scored his 17th and 18th goals of his, stratospheric career at the age of 39. So maybe Mahomes is just that guy, and maybe Andy Reid will hang around long enough, and maybe they will get the show back on the road. And I'll feel very stupid saying this, but having your expectations anchored around what Tom Brady and what Bill Belichick and what the Patriots did is quite foolish to me.
Yeah, I agree. And barring, I was trying, looking back at some of the other dynasties that have existed in the NFL, I think 5 to 6 years is about, is the upper end of it. I know you had the likes of Tom Landry that was successful over about 20 years, but that was with multiple quarterbacks. That was with 2 or 3. Same with Don Shula. He had to reinvent that team, that Dolphins team, and even came from the Colts. Belichick and Brady is literally, it's one of one. And Can Reid and Mahomes repeat that? Absolutely. And I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I think that it's less likely than, it's more likely that it doesn't happen than it does. Now, if you actually do a deep dive into what the Chiefs have this year, they have a returning Patrick Mahomes, and you hope that he's fully fit. You worry about, such a dynamic quarterback coming back with such a significant injury, but you have to trust that he's doing his rehab, and he's, if they're telling us he's fit, he's going to be fit. And yes, he's still going to be one of the most talented, if not the best quarterback in the league. You have, for the first time in his career, which I was shocked to find out, a 1,000-yard rusher in Kenneth Walker. And I think that's what gives them a massive reason to be hopeful. If Kenneth Walker can be Kenneth Walker of last season, he's going to take a huge burden off Mahomes' shoulders. And be able to make teams fill the box and worry about him, and then let Mahomes cook and do what he does best. I look at the weapons. I mean, how much are you going to put on the shoulders of a Rashee Rice, who's got a special dispensation to do his rehab in prison at the moment? How much longer are we going to project?
Always a good start to the offseason.
Absolutely.
When you get a special dispensation from the penitentiary in which your star receiver is currently incarcerated.
I don't think we can necessarily say that Xavier
At least
Worthy
Travis
has
Kelce
been.
is going to get married in Madison Square Garden, so that's good,
Yeah,
right?
and look, and Travis Kelce is living in a house now with a person who probably has the best work ethic of anybody on the planet. So that's going to rub off on him in a positive way. And look, Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce, but he's not Travis Kelce 5 years ago. I'm a little bit worried about the weapons. They have brought in some talent on defense to bolster that defense. I think there's a lot of hope about Monsieur Delane, Peter Woods, or Mason Thomas. But you look at the guys that are going out the door as well. We talked about Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson last week in what the Rams are going to gain. But the Chiefs are going to lose that as well on the back end. So while absolutely it's possible to sum up that the Chiefs can get back to the top of the table because they do have that core talent, coaching, quarterback in those key positions. I just like the rosters that are ahead of them a little bit more. They may sneak into the playoffs. I would not back them to win this division this season so far.
Speaking of doing the work during the off-season, I hope you will appreciate the fact that I didn't immediately jump in and make a childish double entendre about Taylor Swift rubbing up on Travis Kelce in the right way. Damn it, now I've ruined it.
You missed the boat there.
Brian, the Chiefs, if we're looking at one of the strengths of the team in the midst of a difficult season last year, it remained that defense where Steve Spagnuolo was doing the loaves and fishes thing, and they reward him by getting rid of his two best cornerbacks.
Yeah, and Kieran's kind of alluded to there that Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie both gone to the Rams, shifting gears and going over to a major competitor in the NFC. It feels like a couple of years back when they moved off Tyreek Hill and everybody felt it was all over. And I know we're talking about a very different period now where they're transitioning from a team that's just lost a division, quarterback's out with a serious injury. He's trying to recover in time to be ready for the week 1 game on Monday night against the Broncos. But it feels like they've looked at the situation in terms of what's our best bet to get back challenging. Is it our offense? Do we go try chase it on offense, or do we chase it on defense? Because as much as they've lost 2 experienced players in the secondary, they went gung-ho in the draft, Connor. I mean, they moved up for Delane, and we spoke on the night about the fact that a lot of people felt he'd be there at 9, but they felt they weren't going to risk it for a biscuit. They moved up to get him. They then take Woods later in the first round with the additional pick that they got from off the Rams, and then they go thereafter in free agents and go after the defense as well. And Kieran's reeled off the names. It's like as if they've kind of made a decision. We will be back challenging, but ultimately it'll be because our defense puts us in a position to win games, and Patrick Mahomes will do enough. I'm a bit like Kieran on this. I'm not convinced that they're ready again to go and win this division. I think the Broncos in particular, just bearing in mind what they've done in this offseason, very little to me is a huge sign that, and I know we're going to come to them, that they really feel that they're ready to go again and win the division and win the AFC. I just think maybe they're up against it. Be interested to see what are we going to see from Mahomes early on in the season. Like we had this early conversation with them even playing the opening game, Connor, on the Wednesday night in Seattle, and they felt that was too big a risk. We'll hold off as long as we possibly can to give them the Monday night. We're assuming that we're benchmarking Mahomes against previous years where he's been really good. He's going to come back immediately. Kenneth Walker might relieve the pressure coming in. But again, the Kenneth Walker played really well towards the back end of the season. And he got paid off a really great Super Bowl run. I'm still not convinced he is the number 1 back, but is he at that level to go in there and be the talisman to change this team and put them back in the forefront of the division? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not convinced. So maybe come August when we're doing our preseason picks, that might change. But for now, I'd be a little bit out on the Chiefs.
Kieran, you and I both only let go of the idea that the Chiefs would end up finding a way of figuring out and going on to win the Super Bowl despite it all. Once Mahomes went down with injury, I think we finally accepted then that was the stake through the heart. Corpse burned, holy water sprinkled on the ashes, and dropped 10 miles out to sea, that they wouldn't come back from that. And indeed, they didn't. And despite everything I said, I'm still looking at Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Steve Spagnuolo and the guts of a really good defense and bits and pieces that you can MacGyver on offense if you're Andy Reid and if Mahomes comes back from that rehab. And there is a way. There absolutely is a way.
Oh, there's a million ways. I mean, you saw last year. I mean, every single time we would review a Sunday weekend, I was still convinced the Chiefs were going to make a run. I mean, I know they lost 8 of the last 9 games, but like you said, until it was January and they were not in the playoffs, I refuse to believe it because this is the Chiefs. This is what they do. They win close games. Now, obviously, the Broncos did their best Chiefs impression in 2025. But this is still a team that, I mean, it still has the core around it. I mean, no one's really left. I mean, and they've even brought Eric Bieniemy in to bring back the good times. So, yeah, I know they had a terrible season last year. Injuries, poor performance, a running game of Pacheco and Hunt who barely got going at all. But I'm going to go over to the defense a little bit. We all know about what's on offense, and we've talked about Walker. Yes, I am very concerned about the wide receiver room. Again, I just don't understand what the Chiefs play with. A wide receiver one that's screaming out for a 6'5" dude. I just don't understand why they're just packing their room with slot receivers and outrunners. But that's that being said, I'm going to go back to the D, because it's only been a couple of years since the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl. If you looked at the construction of that defense, it was loaded and stacked with guys they got in the draft. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounders. Leo Chanel, McDuffie, I know has moved on. Watson, I know has moved on. You had Karlaftis, Drew Tranquil, all these guys that were less heralded, but they're still there. Karlaftis, Drew Tranquil still there. Nick Bolton is obviously still there, and that's a huge core. And then you go. I mean, I was sending you guys Peter Woods videos way before the draft. I was giving you guys a skinny on him. He's going to be an absolute monster. Yes, they got Mansour Delane as well, who's going to be a great corner. But there's another guy who I'm going to talk about, Thomas Mason, the D end out of Oklahoma, who they got in the 2nd round. I'm going to put him on blast. I think he's going to be a huge addition to the Chiefs this year. So you look around at the team. I know they lost a couple of guys in secondary, but they've added Delane, and they're going to be able to absorb that loss, I think, with some of the other draft picks that they got on defense further down. But just looking at that defense, and yes, you still got Spagnuolo back there. You're bringing back Bieniemy on offense. I don't know. I'm getting real strong Stringer Bell vibes. I want you to get the word out there that we back up. I'm telling you, I think this is the Chiefs' reclamation project. I think this is their bounce back year. And we'll talk about the Chargers and Broncos in a little bit, but I think it's too soon to start throwing dirt on that premature Chiefs grave. I think they have a lot in the tank still. I mean, Mahomes he's barely turned 30. I mean, he's got to have at least 10 years. I know it's an ACL tear that could keep him out till, I mean, they'll probably skirt him around, take it easy in September. But I mean, look at this division. 10 wins might win it. It might be an absolute slugfest. It could be last one standing, like a Royal Rumble. That could be it. And as we've seen with so many teams, and especially the Chiefs, you just got to tread water in October and November. Start sizzling in mid-December, and then by February you're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. So I'm definitely not ready to sign off on the Chiefs yet. I think they still have a huge amount in the tank, and I think they're going to come back. And you got Mahomes, who's watching everybody else get the plaudits. I know he signed a big contract and he's got his money, but he's looking around the league and no one's really talking about him. Everyone's talking about Mendoza, and even talking about the 27 draft class who haven't even been picked yet. So a little fire for him, I think, as well. So yeah, I'm still high in the Chiefs. I think it's way early to start counting them out.
Connor, can I just jump in one quick point? Sorry, just again on the defense, and he touched on. Gary made a great point. He spoke about it before. All these rookie or all these draft picks contributing over the course of 3 or 4 years, but it looks like what they're expecting this year is a lot of young players to contribute very quickly and immediately. And if that doesn't happen, then you wonder, do they have the experienced players on defense to go and do it again? That for me is a little bit of a concern as well.